Today's scripture comes from Genesis chapter 28, verses 10 to 22. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones there, he put it under his head and lay down to sleep. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth, with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. There above it stood the Lord, and he said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. All people on earth will be blessed through you and your offspring. I am with you, and I will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he thought, surely the Lord is in this place, and I was not aware of it. He was afraid and said, how awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. Early the next morning, Jacob took the stone and he had placed under his head and set it up as a pillar and poured oil on top of it. He called that place Bethel, though the city used to be called Luz. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey I'm taking, and will give me food to eat and clothes to wear, so that I return safely to my father's household, then the Lord will be my God. And this stone that I have set up as a pillar will be God's house, and all that you have give me I will give you a tenth. It's the word of the Lord. Testing. Testing. Today's sermon is the fourth in the series Walking with God. The title is Jacob, with a subtitle, The Place Where Stones Were Piled Becomes a Church. Shalom. I imagined a revival meeting taking place in Luz. Luz. I hope the revival meeting taking place starting from this afternoon will be a festival, a spiritual festival. A lot of people made a lot of effort to make this happen. I hope a lot of you will participate in this revival meeting. It will be a precious moment. Today is the fourth session of Walking with God. Let us greet with each other. Let us walk with God. Who are the people in the Bible? There is something that appears them in common. It is power. We must distinguish between power and talent. Most of the people in the Bible were not people with great talents. They were people with natures similar to us. And yet, power was revealed through them. What is the difference between talent and power? Talent is something you are born with, starting from yourself. But power goes beyond the talents you already have. When does power appear? It's when they walked with God. The power that went beyond their talents, beyond what they possessed. That kind of power appeared in them. This is what Bible testifies. They did not have the talent to overcome sin. They did not have the power yet they had the power to overcome sin. They did not have the talent to overcome failure, but the power to overcome failure came to him. They did not have the talent to overcome hardship, yet the power to overcome hardship appeared in them. That was power, and it came when they walked with God. This is what the Bible testifies. The people in the Bible, for the most part, did not have great talents, yet they were called people of top power. Abraham, Jacob, Joseph, David. Their power did not come from their talents. That is the point. I bless you that this kind of power would appear in your lives. You may not have the talent to overcome failure, but I pray that the power to overcome failure will rise up in you. You may not have plans or wisdom to overcome hardship and suffering in life, but power appears and hardship is overcome. A life of power comes when we walk with God. But there is one thing we must understand. Let us not confuse feelings with walking together. Many people make it for a feeling. Sometimes in a crowded store, awkward moments can happen. A child gets distracted and then follows me thinking I am his parent. The person walking next to him may have felt like his parent. He even grabbed my hand. It's awkward, but I said, "Hey, I'm not your dad." It did happen once. The child finally looked at my face and started to cry. We must live not by our feelings, but by actually walking together. There are things that give us feelings. Sometimes a misguided zeal can give us the greatest feeling. The zeal for God-given law gave people the greatest feeling. In today's scripture, the birthright of the firstborn was like that too. But these feelings, they can get shattered When we meet the stone pillow, the feeling breaks. The Bible tells the story of a stone pillow. A cold stone pillow may symbolize failure or hardship. There was someone in life who rested his head on such a stone pillow. It was Jacob. In a field somewhere, he lay down to sleep, using a stone as his pillow. Reading verse 10. One day, Jacob set out on a journey from Beersheba to Haran. One church father described this road like this: the road that contains his life. The road that contains Jacob's life is the road from Beersheba to Haran. To be more exact, it's a road of hardship, the dangerous road. From Beersheba to Haran is over 750 kilometers. It is not just a long road. He could meet robbers, and battles could occur. Many hostile tribes had set up their camps along the way. The journey from Beersheba to Haran symbolically represents Jacob's entire life. Among the people in the Bible, there is no one who had a life journey as difficult and turbulent as Jacob's. The story of Jacob in his old age appears briefly in the Bible. It was a time to bring his life to a close. There, Jacob is no longer the main character. Joseph is the center stage. At that time, a famine struck at the land where Jacob lived, so eventually he moved to Egypt, where Joseph was. Pharaoh personally met Jacob. When Pharaoh saw Jacob, he was surprised. Jacob looked very old. He thought it was remarkable. So he asked, "How old are you?" Jacob answered politely, "The years of my pilgrimage are 130. My years have been few and difficult, and they do not equal the years of the pilgrimage of fathers." Jacob did not just answer with his age. "Compared to my ancestors, my years are few." But, he adds, his life had been difficult. Compared to other patriarchs, even though the number of years he had lived was fewer, the path he had walked was far from easy. In short, he had endured hard times. That path, the road from Beersheba to Haran, was rugged, was harsh. He summed it up. His life had been difficult. The road was rugged. Sometimes we have the same feeling. I cannot let my guard down for a moment. My rest is never complete. My hardship has never resolved in the fields. Among you there may be some who, while walking the rugged journey of life in the wilderness, in the open fields, with nothing to rest on, have laid their head on a stone pillow seeking rest. The clear truth is that what Jacob dreamed of was not that rugged journey. Who dreams that their life will be harsh and difficult? Who would want to sleep with a stone for a pillow? Perhaps this was why Jacob desired the birthright. Wasn't it ultimately for comfort, security, and blessing? Jacob wanted to be blessed by God. This was his true heart, and such a heart is precious. In Israel, there was a blessing for the firstborn. It was reserved only for the firstborn. Wouldn't it be nicer if the blessing could be shared more evenly, the first, the second, sons and daughters? That would be good. But in Israel, it did not work that way. I hope you love your children equally. You already did that? Jacob wanted that blessing, but he was not supposed to have it. Jacob was the second son. He longed for the birthright. He didn't have that. He felt desire. He coveted God's blessing. He wanted the birthright so much that he was willing to deceive his brother and even trick his father just to obtain it. So what happened in the end? The blessing meant for Esau, the firstborn. Jacob received it. How? He used his talents to the fullest. What was his talent? It was navigating between the unlawful and the lawful. It's hard to call Jacob a cheater, but also hard to say he was completely justified. He tricked his father, pretended to be Esau, and received the blessing of the birthright. On the surface, isn't it a fraud? But that's not all. He had already obtained the birthright from his brother for just a bowl of lentil stew. Legally, he had prepared all the loopholes. If this went to court, the judge would have a hard time. This was the talent he used. As Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent takes it by force. Holding the birthright in his hands meant that God's blessing would come with it. This was probably Jacob's thinking, his feeling. But did heaven come? Did heaven open? No, it did not. Far from heaven. He became a fugitive, forced to run away on a rugged road. Road from Beersheba to Haran. I didn't live as long as my ancestor, but my life had been more difficult than theirs. Perhaps this kind of feeling you have, too, some of you may have. We believe in God because we want to be blessed, because we want to live within God's amazing grace. We made a decision to believe. But for some people, they find themselves on a harsh road right there in the middle of it, on the road from Beersheba to Haran. You may not have said it out loud, but in your heart you may have thought that that road, Jacob's road, is also my road. He tricked his father, but instead he had to leave his hometown empty-handed. Read verse 11. Contrary to his hopes, in the open fields, he's complete. What is the stone pillow Jacob had? The stone pillow is Jacob's reality. To Jacob, the stone pillow probably looked like the symbol of failure. It may have represented the hardship of life. It may have felt like the consequences of certain events. The important point is the stone pillow is Jacob's reality. It is the reality of failure, the reality of a hardship, the reality of his life. The hardship you are resting on is your own stone pillow. Among you, there may be a stone pillow that most clearly awakens you to your present. An empty bank account, it could be a stone pillow. The work you're doing, it could be a stone pillow. He longed for a blessed life, but now he rests on a stone pillow. Jacob's reality, at the very least, was desperate in three ways. First, there was regret and self-reproach for the past. Should I have not done that? This is regret. Is there anything in life you regret? If I could go back to that time, if I had made a different choice then, why does that regret never end? Because you cannot go back. Because of that choice, because of that event, because of that result. Isn't that your stone pillow? The regret you carry along with your stone pillow was surely part of Jacob's hardship. The second source of Jacob's despair in his reality was uncertainty and anxiety about the future. Haran was a foreign land he had never been to earlier. Moreover, what would he encounter there and how would he live? He had no idea, and it was deeply unsettling. What pushed Jacob into even greater despair was likely sleeping alone in the open fields. Could that reality of a wanderer hold any hope that things could change in Haran? The third source of Jacob's despair was likely the birthright itself. The blessing of the birthright from God includes the idea of territory. It means that God is present in that special land. But he left that land. The place where he rests his head on the stone pillow is not the land of blessing. Which place do you think God is working with you? Will God be with you on your stone pillow? Actually, isn't it something you really wanted to avoid, but you could not? You have no other choice. Just rest on it. That is the stone pillow. Can you really imagine that God walks with you on that stone pillow? Mm. Jacob's hardship and despair were likely caused by the loneliness he felt in that place. That God is not here. There is a but here. We must return not to Jacob's hardship and the stone pillow, but to God's perspective. God saw that Jacob wanted to live like his brother. It's pathetic. He wants to live as a firstborn. God wanted to bless him, not to fill him as the vessel of a firstborn, but to fill the vessel that is Jacob. God did not care that Jacob was the second, even the third, fourth, or 10th. Even if you are at the lowest seat, God's heart is to pour blessing into your vessel. It is not about giving more to some and less to others. God's heart is to fill your vessel completely. So what did he do? He used the stone pillow on which Jacob had lived. Jacob had lived his whole life by scheming, but God did not destroy that scheming. He just weakened it. So what kind of a place is the stone pillow? It is the place where Jacob's calculations collapse. Schemes didn't work, strength ran out. In the Bible, the wilderness appears in many places. God never hid the fact that he had led his people into the wilderness. Why? He made the wilderness appear to bring them hardship. He made all their plans disappear. Why? The instrument does not play itself. The musician plays it. Jacob dreamed of a life that he would play himself. Wasn't that the birthright? He put all his strength into it, made plans, gathered people, got his mother on his side, conspired. He wanted to achieve with all his efforts. That was the birthright. He thought, this is how God will walk with me. That's why God had to empty him of that. The poor, the afflicted, the poor in spirit are blessed, the scripture says. When Jacob emptied, when he became afflicted, when his vessel was broken, when he experienced hardship, then he saw something. He saw that God's plan for him was already full and outflowing. From verses 12 to 15. He saw that God's plan for him was already full and overflowing. To the west, to the east, to the north, to the south, God's plan is complete in every direction without leaving anything out. That was a plan of blessing. What is blessing? It is being emptied so that God's authority can appear, so that His power can be revealed. Being emptied is blessing. The more you are emptied, the more it is blessing, because He will fill you. Do not stumble in the places where you are being emptied. But what Jacob saw in his dream at first was not those details of God's blessings. The dream was not about the contents of any blessing. The dream was, in fact, about something else. It was to show that God was with him. Verse 16. Jacob woke from his dream and said, "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." This confession is important. He was here. God was here, but I did not know. It's not that God wasn't there, but God was already there, but he did not know. You may be meeting some kind of stone pillow in the year 2026, but I wish you would all know that I didn't know, but God had already been there. God was with me. The stone pillow is still a stone pillow, but now it became an altar for worship. The wilderness where he stayed, Luz, became Bethel, ordinary land, but it became the house of God. What is a church? It is the house of God. It is where God dwells. If you walk with God, that place where you're at becomes a church. Even a stone pillow can become a church. I hope that in the midst of your hardship, a church will be established here, as the Chongkyo church was established. May your life be a place where God's presence walks with you. I believe that your stone pillow will become an altar. My life had been harsh. Jacob had confessed. His life was harsh, but his place became precious. This is the faith of Bethel. The reason we could trust God even while holding a stone pillow is because of the belief. Even a stone pillow becomes a precious place if God is with it. God allowed him to dream while resting on a stone pillow. I pray that you too will see such a dream. Ah, God is with me. May it become clear to you that God is with you. We do not know what kind of a stone pillar will meet, where, north, south, east, or west. But we know that God will be with us. In the year 2026. Other dreams, the blessings God will give them. This is a blessing and privilege that only those who believe can receive. God is not someone who holds us by feelings. He is the one who walks with us by his promises. Spiritual teachers say that true spirituality is believing the absolute goodness of God. Right now, we may find ourselves in a place different from what we had expected, but we are holding on to the absolute goodness of God, our Father. From stone pillow to Bethel. What's going to happen to us is for sure. It's from stone pillow to Bethel, from feelings to walking together, from talent to a life of power. When I say stone pillow, say Bethel. From feelings to walking together, from talent to power, from stone pillow to Bethel, from feelings to walking together, from talent to a life of power. When you walk with God, these things will happen. The place will become precious. If you have a stone pillow in your life, pray that you will pile up the stone pillows of that place and make them into an altar of worship. That is what it means to walk with God. Greet each other. When we walk together, the place becomes precious.